This is how much we know about movies. We just if you want a raw review of movies, you're getting it right here because we don't know shit.
Dad! Oh, fuck, I don't know, man. Is that like nostalgia purposes for kids these age?
I don't give a shit. I don't care.
We get that, Pop.
Fine, I'll Google it. Through the magic
you don't
of podcasting.
have to Google it. I'm just saying, just take it out.
No.
Not bring it out, or just be better prepared.
Shut your fucking mouth.
I am your father.
Man, sometimes I wish like things would stay at a simpler time mentality.
Welcome to the Two Dads Review podcast. So what you're telling me is that we're never going to review American Horror Story again after this finale?
I don't know why we should. Like, it's just... It is the most letdown-worthy show
right
of all time. It has to be. Like, every season, every fucking season is like, get your hopes up, and then just goes, nah, I don't feel like writing good shit anymore.
Just the master of the build-up, and then you just can't finish. Just can't finish. It never seems to finish where it's worth, like, the 10 to 12 episodes you put into it beforehand.
Yeah, right?
It's
like, fuck. I wish I had that problem in bed. Like, goddamn, man. Like, I need to American Horror Story in the sack. That's what I need. Just like, First 4 episodes, man, I'm going to hook you in, and then I'm just never, ever going to give you anything you want the rest of the way out.
Oh, man. But then you can't finish, and then you just pent up the rest of the time.
I don't even care at this point. It's just American Horror Story. If anything we've learned from Apocalypse, it's all suffering. You'll just suffer.
Yeah,
that's all there is.
That's what they're trying to let you know is like, look, you're just going to suffer. It's just the way the world works, and you never get what you want, even though we pretty much got what we wanted kind of by the end of it. I mean, everything kind of played out as expected to a certain extent, and then it was like a pointless, last 5 minutes of, Satan finds a way type thing.
I don't even know why they had the last episode. They should have just fucking like not told anybody and just made it 9 and just left everybody like, what the fuck, or 10 episodes or whatever it was, like.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. But we're done. One more year, one more season of American Horror Stories will be done after this episode. We will have reviewed all 10 and be done with it. And the next TV show we're reviewing will be Star Trek Discovery, which does not crank up until January 17th, which is, I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, but January 17th is like a Wednesday. So, because remember, we used to always gripe and moan because it was on a Sunday, and then I would always bitch because I'd stream it that day, and the servers wouldn't work and all that crap. So now they're dropping it on a Thursday, maybe thinking folks will be, like, still at work or still it's a weekday, so they're not staying. I don't know why. I don't know what the point of changing the day is. I haven't read anything about it, but it just seems a little bit, I don't know, odd to a certain extent for it to be on Thursdays, because I guess it was a normal TV show and they switched from Sunday nights to Thursday nights. I'm not sure if that's like, I forget what like the big nights for TV are when it comes to like cable television. Like, my show got switched from a Friday night to a Tuesday night. That means they're not doing well and they're, on the way out. But I don't think that's the case with Discovery, considering they've announced like 8 other Star Trek shows they're going to be producing in the near future.
Yeah, I highly doubt that's the issue with the Discovery.
That's their cash cow.
It's just probably like, it's probably, what's the words I'm looking for? I mean, it's probably ratings too, because like we're about to hit 2019. Mm-hmm. Game of Thrones is going to drop on Sundays and shit like that. I mean, I'm not saying it's going against it, but I'm just saying big name shit always goes Sunday night.
Right.
And it's for a streaming show that's just going to pop them out every week and people are going to watch them when they want to watch. It's like, hey, let's pick a Thursday or Friday. Like, there fucking ain't nothing else on. Ain't nobody watching shit. So let's drop our bomb diggity show that we already know people will fucking come out and see.
Their servers for
and let's go snag that night.
Right. Well, we'll see. I have high hopes for this season. I've watched a couple of the short treks that have come out. They have these, I don't know if you're aware of this, if I talked about it a while back, but they have these about once a month till the show premieres. They're doing like little one-offs, like 10 to 12 minute little mini-sodes of just one character. Like the first episode was Tilly, and the second episode was the guy we'd never met. But it was kind of cool because, spoiler alert, if you haven't watched the second short trek, the Discovery now has like a HAL 9000 style like AI to the ship. So the ship is not just being able to talk to you. It's literally like has emotions and feelings and like does all this shit. And it's like thousands of years into the future. And this guy was in like cryo sleep, and the ship found, and the ship is empty. And they're in the middle of wherever they are. And she was told to hold there by the crew who left. And so the ship's just been sitting here for thousands of years because it's like a dog outside of a, store. Like my owner told me to stay here. Like I have to stay here. I can't go anywhere else but right here. And that's what the ship is doing. And it's not like it's that far from other planets. Like the guy ends up at the end of the episode, like taking a shuttlecraft and warping off to a world he could probably make it to in the shuttle. But it's kind of one of those like, oh, did this just answer the question as to like why no one knows about the Discovery like in the rest of the timelines? Like there's a lot more to that episode than I think just this guy and this ship falling. Like there's like a love story, and it's like a love story almost. Like the ship has him watching like old dance, like they were watching movies and shit like on the bridge. Like she's just projecting like old school like 1930s like or maybe 40s and 50s like musical type movies. And like at some point like Discovery creates herself, and him and her like dance, and it is weird. But it's like I said, underneath it, there's just like, oh yeah, the ship's here all by itself for thousands of years. So where is she? How did she get there? So it's kind of cool.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. But anyways, that's the short tricks. But for all of you listening, we're gonna do Discovery starting in January. Until then, head over to our Twitter at 2dadsreview on Twitter, and I already have a poll up that already has a lot of votes, and Corey's already upset about it. We're going to do we talked about it a little bit last week. In fact, we came up with it during our show last week because we had not thought about what to do after American Horror Story. We're doing time travel movies. And there's a plethora of time travel movies to choose from. We have, I think when I counted, like roughly 8 or 9 weeks before Discovery starts. So we only get to pick some of them. And Corey and I have different ideas on what time travel is in movies. Like, I don't want to use, like, if we have to keep it to, like, I want to keep it to, like, machines that cause you to time travel. But you said you don't want to do Back to the Future, which is fine because everybody does Back to the Future when you think time travel. But like, if you talk, like, cryo sleep and things like that, like, if we do that, we open up a whole nother realm. So we're hoping.
I don't think so. I don't understand the difference. We
only have 8 shows. Only have 8 shows to like fill with time travel stuff.
Well, I know that, but I'm saying like putting your body in stasis so that it doesn't fucking change and you go into the future. Your ass fucking time traveled, man.
Your ass slept for a long time and didn't age. But if you're talking,
okay, let me ask you this question: when you're in space and you're orbiting faster than the fucking Earth rotates, and you go around, are you actually time traveling?
That's why I can't believe you don't want to watch Interstellar. Because if the theory of of light speed and shit like that is true, and you go faster than the speed of light, then 1 minute to you is like however many minutes to people on Earth, and you come out at light speed, and everybody's old.
Yeah, that's fucking time travel, man. Like, it doesn't matter how you get there; it's fucking traveling in time.
Careful over there! Careful over there! Don't get all rowdy.
All my cups.
I quit. So
glad that didn't have liquid in it.
Yeah, I know, right? Like, and this podcast is over forever.
Yeah, you fucking ruined time traveling and my computer. I'm done.
So right now the poll is just for what we're going to review for our very first episode. It's between the original H.G. Wells, the OG, the HG, if you'll permit me that joke. The movie The Time Machine, which is one of the, I've never seen it. I know it's one of the original ones. I know it's one of the first ones to deal with it, and everybody, it's a classic. And the other one is also a classic, Time Cop, with none other than Sir Jean-Claude Van Damme. I'm pretty sure they knighted him. I'm joking. I know they didn't knight his ass, but still, it's going to be great. It's Van Damme in like his prime, where he could make any movie he wanted to in Hollywood. Like the 90s, it was like, I want to do this, and they gave it to you. I want to dance like a goofball in this movie. You go right ahead. JCVD, have a good time. So those are the two it's between right now. Time Cop is winning. It's not like that we're not going to review the Time Machine. I just kind of wanted to get everybody involved.
Well, that's how it should be, though, man. That's the whole point of a poll. Like, we can't, like, throw it up there and then go, all right, week 2, we're going to fucking do the guy that lost. Like, nah, man, you fucking out. Tournament style. No bullshit. Like, whatever pick I throw in. That's why I was a little bitter you tossed Time Cop up against Time Machine, because I was like, they're both good movies, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they're like kind of both equally good in their own right. Like, you can't really look at one or the other and go, all right, I'm with that one. It's like Van Damme, so of course everyone's gonna be like, dude, old school Van Damme, that's what's up. And then everybody that's like probably a little more Time Machine is gonna go, well, why aren't we watching the 60s version of the Time Machine, like that got it all started, right? So I'm sitting here watching this fucking poll go back up and down, and I'm going, god damn it, Van Damme's gonna fuck this up for me. And like, I like Time Cop, but I'm gonna be bitter about this situation.
Well,
if Time Machine
and that's
doesn't
why you
win.
don't have to be bitter, because we'll watch him. Especially if I ominous dominus make it only Time Machine style time travel, where if you travel in time back, it could have an effect on what happens in the future, that kind of stuff. I am interested.
Yeah, like if I pray that if you throw Primer up on a poll, that
nobody
it
votes.
just gets fucking massacred, because I have zippy interest in watching that goddamn movie.
I was watching a few. Yeah. So if for anybody who doesn't know, Primer is a 2004 little independent film that I think they had a budget of like $7,000. Like, it's something stupid tiny what the guy did with it. And
what makes this movie impressive is that the dude had a $7,000 budget and actually made a quality film. Now, does that make it fucking entertaining?
Correct.
No.
That
Not
is what
at
I'm
all.
hearing when I read about it, is that people include it in the list because of how detailed and accurate the guy didn't dumb down the script. So they'll be talking about shit, and it'll be like, if you don't understand what you're talking about, it's going to go over your head. Like, you're just not going to get it. And he didn't dumb it down when talking about time travel. It's a real difficult, like, people say they just watch it with their mouth open because they're like, I cannot believe this got made. But it's also, I had this, like, it's like an awe moment as well. So it's one we're going to have to watch in this series, because I want to see it and I want to talk about it, because I've heard a lot about it. But I'm sure that it will not be a edge of the seat gripping movie as you would get from, like, I don't know, half the other time travel movies out there. But we're going to get to a bunch of good ones. We've got 8 or 9 weeks, and if we really dig it, and we get a break after Discovery, we'll do some more time travel. I don't care. It's fine with me. Better than having to come up with something new.
That's true.
So we'll see what we get through, and we'll go from there. But that's later. That's not today. Today is the
worst episode in American Horror Story history.
So does this now move?
Yeah, dude, I don't even want to put Apocalypse on the fucking list now by the way they tanked this goddamn season. Like, Apocalypse just went from 2 to, like, I don't even fucking care about it anymore. Like, don't even call it American Horror Story.
Okay. What happened? Where did it go off the rails? What part during the thing did you literally just... how far in, what scene did you just say, okay, this is going to be another standard American Horror Story experience of letdown and... torture?
Like, well, basically just by going, here's all of this shit, and then here's your fucking 30 fade to blacks.
You did mention that last week. You were like, if I see black, 10 years past, black, 5 more years, black, and it did that towards the end. It jumped a lot, and I was like, oop, Corey's hating it now.
Yeah, and then, okay, and I get it, like, Michael was supposed to still be like a teenage boy learning his ropes or whatever, but their fucking thing is time travel, and we run him over with a car. Man, fuck off. Like, get the fuck out of here.
You have literally the most powerful witch any of those witches have ever seen, and she runs him over with the fucking Cadillac. Like, that's...
Yeah, and it's just, this was just fucking lazy writing up and down. Like, and it's weird because I don't want to be mad at the writers because they write really good stuff. I can't tell if it's just the big wigs behind it that are like, we got to push forward with this. No, you're not getting, like, give the motherfuckers 15 episodes or 13 episodes if they need it, right? Like, if 10 is your thing, okay, but don't write something that requires 13 episodes by the time your last episode is fucking airing, and then just basically watch everything happen at 1.5 speed.
I mean, it feels like, and now that you said that, it feels like at least this episode, if not the past couple, were like 6 episodes combined into, because they had planned, maybe they were writing originally for 13 and were told halfway through the process, like, no, you're only getting 10. And instead of going back and rewriting, the 7 scripts they had done, they just condensed the last 3 from 6 down to 3. That's what it feels like.
Because there was so many like little bullshit episodes really that were after episode 4 that it was like, you guys could have done
don't have time for this.
So where in the, like, who was putting the Post-its on the wall and everything was looking really nice and organized, and then all of a sudden you got to episode 10 and there's fucking 90,000 more Post-its in that one section than anywhere else across the episode gallery.
Right.
Like, I don't care. Let's just talk about it. Let's just fucking get this over with.
Episode 10, titled Apocalypse Then. We start out with Myrtle going into Miss Venable's office and going to see, which we do get to learn their last names, Mutt Nutter and Jeff Pfister, which I was like the greatest name. I was like, oh, wow, those are great. But I did like, there was some nice cattiness between the two of them. Venable talking about Myrtle's hair. Like, I would much rather, she said, Myrtle said, take me to your employer now. And Venable's like, you might as well ask me to explain your hair. And I was like, oh, damn, girl.
Yeah, but I can't remember Myrtle's retort to that.
Oh, she puts her under, and then...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you wrote it down. My hair's an eternal mystery and never to be fully understood. Like, that segment of the show, like, we're going to go back and talk about this, and I'm going to go, ooh, I really like that. Like, that was really fun. But then when you play it all together,
right, you
go, what the fuck, guys?
Right. And, they say the American Horror Story super fans and everybody who enjoys the show say that Jessica Lange carried the whole show on her back for 3 seasons, and then Sarah Paulson carried it for the next set of seasons. I personally think this season was carried by the actress that plays Myrtle. She is by far the greatest part of this whole show.
Yeah, Myrtle's great.
She's great.
I don't know if she carried the show. I mean, I'd say Michael carried the show.
Yeah, he became. This is the first season.
Like Myrtle's awesome because of her fabulous one-liners, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the way she made that character move and talk, like, that's awesome. But like, I don't know. I mean, American Horror Story writers could write something where she would be the main character for the most part.
I would watch the shit out of that.
But what you saw Michael do during his whole shifting from bad guy to unknowing, uninformative, like, I can't even tie my fucking shoes, despondence, and like, that guy, once he reaches that age where he doesn't look like he could be 15 or 40, like, when I want to see him with a beard. Like, I want to see him as like a kind of grizzly role now, because I feel like the way that guy acts, it would just be some crazy. I'm not saying like go all like, John Rambo on him or whatever, but like make him not look so young. Like, I just want to see him where he kind of like they Gary Oldman his ass, like, but the reverse. They make him a little older, and then I want to see him play something, because that kid can fucking act.
So, what year were you born? 84?
83.
He was born in 88. He's not that younger not that much younger than you, and he looks like he's 19.
Yeah, but I don't look 35 either. Like, that guy looks like he could walk into a fucking high school. Like, now technically, I got into a football game free this year because I shaved my beard and I happened to have a hat on, so you couldn't see that I was a bald 35-year-old man. And with like the rock and roll t-shirts and shit I wear, they let me walk through like I was a student, because there are some fucking boys out there that look way older than I do. I'm like, how many years have you been here, brother? Like, you need to be working full time. Right. Like my son had a couple friends over here yesterday, and I mean, you've seen my son. He's not a small kid by any stretch of the imagination. Right. He was the smallest one over.
That's just scary.
In the house yesterday. He was the smallest one in the house yesterday. And I had like 4 boys over, and I was like, oh my God, why are you all so large? What is wrong with you? Like, doorways are a challenge for all of you.
Interesting. That's funny. With all his football player friends?
I think so. I mean, they're just his buddies. Like, and I think 8 and 6 foot, and that was the smallest height that was in the house.
Wow. That's nuts. Back to Cody Fern, the guy that plays Michael. I think this season he actually took the sexiest man on American Horror Story from Evan Peters this year. Like the girls were all about him this year.
Yeah, but Evan Peters has never been the sexiest man on American Horror Story.
Everybody just
everybody loves him because he's fucking awesome, man. But like,
I mean, he is awesome.
Nobody. Like from this episode or this season, the witch that always, or the warlock that always had like the dark mascara that got burnt by Miss Mead.
Cheyenne Jackson. John Henry Moore is the witch's name, or the warlock's name, but Cheyenne Jackson is his name.
That guy, that motherfucker looks like he was cut from goddamn marble.
He's sexy.
Right? Like, I don't care. Evan Peters is a good looking dude, but you can stand that guy right next to Evan Peters, and if no one knew that they were both famous and that was Evan Peters, right? Mm-hmm. That motherfucker would get picked 95% of the time.
Right.
Like, there are some good looking people in just general that like have graced this show. And Evan Peters is not a bad looking guy either. And what goes for him is he's like fucking weird, but like quote unquote normal weird, right? Like he's just weird enough, you know, you go, all right, I can handle that. And so he's all kinds of just like, I wonder he does this. Oh, he's so dreamy, blah, blah, blah. But that dude ain't like turn everybody's head as soon as he comes around a fucking corner.
True. But he has been like the focus of all the seasons when it comes to like, but he's also been practically the only main guy for every season. So it's.
Well, yeah. I mean, and he probably has a solid stable of
followers,
young people. I'm not even going to say like women.
No,
like just young people that caught him in Murder House when they were like 12 or 13. Mm-hmm. And he has just been a heartthrob for them ever since.
Even with his creepy crab hands on Freak Show.
Well, the fact that the dude was hitting like G-spot orgasms in that show, they were probably like, you know what? I could work with the claw
crab
hands. If that's what's going down, right?
I forgot completely about that part of the plot. Jesus.
Yep.
Let's see. So
all those socialites.
Social visit. Yeah. Right. Let's see. So Outpost. So Mutt and Jeff are arguing over which outpost they're going to be in. And I have to, speaking of lazy writers, the guys who did that board, like I paused it to like look at the names and stuff. Cause he mentions like Outpost 4 has Jennifer Lawrence and Charlize Theron and Johansson in it. Like, why are we not in that outpost? And then the other guy's like, well, cause I figured there was a problem. We had to like brainstorm. We won't be with all the smart people. He's like, fuck that. So, yeah, right. But like I just paused it and it's literally a whole bunch of the same last names across different, so you can see like a Thomas and a Thomas and a Thomas, like in all these different outposts, just the first initial changes. And I'm like, that's lazy. This is the perfect time for you to put all kinds of like fun shit, like D. Johnson or like Dwayne Johnson, or like, you know, like put all kinds of fun Hollywood people in there who would have the money, you know, Elon Musk, you know, do all that shit. But it's just all like same stupid names. You know what I mean? And I'm like, well, that's dumb. It's like you guys had. That's
because American Horror Story doesn't care.
I fucking know, but that's fun. That's like
this is American Horror Story. I saw an interview with Dave Matthews,
like from the Dave Matthews Band.
Yeah, like Dave Matthews Band, right?
Okay,
guys, phenomenal musician, been famous for fucking ever. So like, I don't remember who was interviewing him, like Jimmy Kimmel or somebody was like, "So do you do requests still?" You know, he's like, you know, when you come back out for encore or whatever. And Dave Matthews like looks at him, he starts laughing. He goes, God, no, I don't do requests. He goes, you know, every time be out there playing, hear people from the front row chanting something, you know, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, I'm always like, oh, you're super excited? That song was already on the playlist. I'm glad you thought I played it for you. Like, that is American Horror Story. Like, they just don't fucking care. They go, hey, we know you're going to watch it. Mm-hmm. After the first 3 seasons, we realized that we hit an unimaginable home run out of the park. Like, we can literally throw shit on shit for the next fucking 7 years and they're fine. As long as these stable actors that they kind of have hang around a little bit longer for them to transition a little bit of new crew, like the new Michael Langdons. Like, I would not be surprised if that cat isn't always back.
Oh, yeah.
Or they start bringing back other people like Michael Chiklis. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like guys that they kind of guest spotted in. They're like, all right, hey, you're back on the show. You're the main dude.
Big names in Hollywood want to work on this series. Someone, they want to be part of it, just especially if they're like either just switching to TV or if they just are kind of hitting the lull. Like Michael Chiklis hadn't really been in anything when he came on the show for Freak Show, really, right? Like he was just kind of here and there. Shield was already, or not Shield, but what was the big show he was in?
That was the Shield, wasn't it?
Sorry, I'm thinking about Marvel. Like, did they call it the same thing? But yeah, Shield. So he had been done with Shield for a while, I think, and then he had done like the Fantastic Four stuff, but hadn't really done anything. And then he gets back on this one, and everybody's like, "Oh shit, Michael Chiklis!" And then he had a fairly large role in Freak Show. So I mean, he was there for a lot of the episodes.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, since they brought in characters like that, right? And they can always just pull them back.
Yeah,
like, hey, we're gonna like, it's just, they have like a massive just roster of like veteran talent that people want to do it. And I don't know who their casting agency is or the person that does it, but like that person should be one of the highest paid people
on the show,
in the whole room every time they fucking walk in.
Yeah, because
they have not missed a character. Like, even if you didn't like the character, you go, that fucking actor nailed it.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that was awesome. I'd fuck him. I don't like him, but that's some good acting.
True.
Like, and as we go through and talk about this show, oh, there's some good acting. There's some good acting.
Yeah,
like,
we never fault the actors in this show ever. They're all given 100%. It's just like, are you reading what you're saying? Because it's like, this doesn't make, I guess you don't have any say when it comes to what's happening as the plot goes along, which is, well, you can't do that.
And I think that's the difference between famous people and people like us.
Horribly non-famous people.
Right. But like, I mean, think about it. Famous people can get into, and I'm talking like actors and musicians and stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, they can just read the lines and go, okay, that's what needs to be said.
It's a job.
Yeah. Musicians, they're like, hey man, this just sounds good. It's cool. Wally wally woo, right? Put it to the right fucking beat. You got a new catchphrase or some shit. Who cares? But like, when I think about saying some of the stuff that I've watched on TV or I hear in songs, I go, there's no way I could say that shit with one, a straight face, or two, ever utter those words. Like, I can't. Even like in my own room by myself, like, I just can't do it. I go, I feel really weird. This is why I couldn't act, or like, because I could never get over that. Like, who would say that? Like, why would you say that? Like, reading those worst one-liners in movies, like, that are like the final fucking calls before the bad guy comes in, and it's like, I eat shit off the sidewalk or something like that. And you go, why? Like, you're telling me you read that line and you went, okay, I can do that. No edits anywhere. You just didn't come back and go, have you ever heard anybody say that ever in your life?
I've come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I am all out of bubblegum.
But at least that is like a joke.
Right.
Right? Like, that is a setup. But just some stuff you go, why did you put all those words together? Mm-hmm. That's just fucking weird, man.
Yeah. So to sum up Myrtle's encounter, she puts them under a quick... I do like the show of her powers over Miss Venable and over Mutt and Jeff. Like, she puts them under some sort of spell that, like, they're like in stasis, like they can't move, but they can still talk to her. And she examines the map and then tells them that Mr. St. Pierre Vanderbilt will be contacting them to buy spaces and to do it. And I guess part of her spell is like mind control or something, because she leaves just telling them you're going to do it. And they don't question it or whatever. So I guess they're also under some sort of spell to accept it when he calls. Did you get that from that as well?
Well, I just figured she just put her under some spell. Like,
yeah.
I didn't look too much into it. I mean, if people can get it thrown across the room with a wave of an arm, or, like walk into hell, like, I'm not going to put it past probably at this time, one of the most powerful witches, Mentor, like walking into some secretary and a couple fucking coked out programmers going real quick. Like, she could have just, I feel like, walked in and just told her to do that. Like, that's Myrtle. Like, she didn't even really need a spell. She could have just spun some words real quick and got her agreeing with what she needed to. But yeah, it was like, here's what you're going to do. And she left like a voicemail in her brain. So when this happens,
Ding.
Yeah, here's your fucking next step.
Right. All right, so the next scene, we are back at Misty's shack. It's Myrtle, Cordelia, Coco, Mallory, and Madison are left. That's who's there. Myrtle briefs them on what she learned at Mutt and Jeff Inc. And this is where the whole identity spell plan comes into effect, where they talk about what we're going to do. Cordelia is telling Coco, you are going to be a mean ass bitch, and I think Myrtle even says, "Yeah, we based your personality on Madison," and she's like, "Consider it an upgrade."
They called her ass
bitch.
out. That was great.
And we also learned that the subservient nature of Mallory when she's under is so her natural powers don't show themselves, because when she's in a dangerous situation or she's in a threatened situation, her powers, manifest themselves. So if they make it where she's just always being beat down and beat down and beat down by Coco, that she'll never manifest her powers before it's too soon. So, and that's how they're going to hide them. They're going to put them in the same bunker. They talk about the fact that, your parents aren't going to be there. We're going to make sure they're away from it so they can't get to the bunker. I do like Coco, Leslie Grossman. Like, she's like, I just like how good this part of her character is. Like, she's just so nice. And she's like, my parents are good people. My brother's a good guy. Like, it sucks they have to die. And then they're like, it doesn't matter when time changes. None of this will have happened. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then I
like her in Mallory's scene too, because then there was the spell that was like, hey, you guys are going under, but now you really know why Mallory never left, because she loves her.
Right.
Like, I'm not saying in love, but it's this, they made this everlasting friendship. Mm-hmm. It's like, I will go to the ends of the earth for you. I love you. We'll be together always. So, when they get asked, when Mallory gets asked, like, you get shitted on by her all the time. And she gave that, like, she needs me. Right. I need to be there for her. That wasn't all the spell. Like, that was their underlying friendship. What we didn't realize was internal emotion kind of seeping out. Like, I'm not going to say it because I don't really know it because my brain's all cloudy, but I just have this bond with this person for some reason, even though she seems to be fucking terrible to me. I can never leave her.
Right, exactly. And their whole back and forth when Coco's like, I'm sorry for anything I'm about to say to you after the spell goes under. Like, I could never be mean to you. Mm-hmm. And so then Cordelia starts to cast a spell. She says, "Memoria unda temporis est," which translates to "memory is the wave of time," which is kind of cool. And then I liked when you watched them, you watched the new personality hit them, like acting wise, like Leslie Grossman, like you could see her go from like nice to like bitch, like you could see it happen. Yeah. You were like, oh damn. And then Mallory suddenly like started looking down and didn't make eye contact with the camera and like didn't, was already like mouse-ish as well. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it was very, very like, you're like, oh shit, okay, cool. Like it was kind of powerful to watch the two of them hit their new characters. So now they are under, and the next thing we get is them speeding down the road in an black SUV with the windows down, and that's all the standard bitching and moaning, and Coco's pissed because the windows are down and it's messing up her hair, and it's their whole back and forth, and this is when she first meets Mr. Gallant. So it's not like it's the day of the apocalypse. It's just one of those days, because this is where honestly I needed a time card and they didn't give me one, and so I was like, okay, cool, they're gonna leave it to me to kind of figure out when this is, because when Madison, who's driving the vehicle, she's their Uber driver, and she's driving like a bat out of hell and not putting the windows up or anything. She sees the bus placard, like the ad on the bus for Dinah's show. Like, that's not like coming soon or brand new show or you should be watching this. It's like she's already a hit. And so I don't even know how long this has been. It's been a long amount of time. Like, we're talking months, probably months. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, could be.
And then from here, when she meets Gallant and he's like, oh, you're a new client, this, that, and the other. And she's like, she's like, you need to book me all afternoon. And he's like, I don't do that. I don't knock old clients. She goes, here's my credit card, charge me double and consider yourself on retainer. And so it's like, look at all this money I got. And so that's where their thing started, but we don't know how long. I mean, to be honest, their relationship could have been just weeks away from the apocalypse when she first like snagged him as her hairdresser, but it seemed like they had known a lot about each other when we first saw them in episode 1. like he knew a lot about her by that point. So at least it was a couple of sessions. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I also feel like their relationship was supposed to be a very
surface,
like cosmetic.
Yeah, like surface level, like nothing deep about it. Just like
yeah, right. So I imagine a lot of the stuff he learned because he was like, I mean, when we first see them all taken off, you know, he's like, I know about your grandmother, but I could just see her like talking about bitching, you know, right? Like she's just one of those, that's her character. Like everybody, everything somewhere has a problem. So as she's just normally talking, she's like, oh my God, have you seen my Fifth Avenue house is wrecked with its blinds and my grandmother, like that's how she talks. So she's one of those people that you could just listen to and go, I know where you live. I probably know your password now. And like, you know, like she just gives so much information away as she's talking. Right. And the fact that there was kind of that, like, what are you doing here vibe also at the same time when he showed up, I would give it maybe a month because they were kind of like, it seemed like they were clicking, like they would kind of be friends forever. Right. But you could also see that both of them are just like, I guess spoiled's the word, you know, like just that mentality at the same time. So you go, I really don't know how real that friendship is. Like he's a convenience for her and he doesn't mind it because he's basically getting paid double and is on a fucking monthly or yearly retainer and God knows what she threw at him for that. Right. So he's like, hey, we're cool.
Yeah. But before that point, the time change is fairly substantial. I don't think they just drove them straight from the spell right to, I don't know. See, that's where the timeline messes with me. I mean, I could also see it where they literally just threw Mallory and her in the back of the black SUV and Madison just drove them away. I felt like when the next thing we see is Cordelia like hanging out at the shack and like it feels like she's been there like waiting for a while, like waiting. They have to just wait until the time is right type thing.
Well, for her, yeah, I imagine Cordelia's been waiting for a while, but I think the girls probably the next day after the spell were taken to where they need to go. But
that's not the day we saw. Probably not. Because Madison, if you're saying...
When Madison's driving them, I guarantee that's probably within 48 hours of when the spell happened. Because you see the Voodoo Queens show, and it makes sense that it's kind of surprising to Madison a little bit with all the shit that's going on. But we already know that, you know, Michael was like, you've got 10 episodes. So why wouldn't she already be famous and plastered? Because the Devil's Reach is already in anything and guaranteed 10 shows. True. So it's probably just like when Madison saw it, it was like, oh, she's fucking everywhere now. And the only reason that this can happen is because she's done something.
Yeah. And she wants to, she busts in and she's like, we need to burn this bitch at the stake. Yeah. Because I guess up until that point, they didn't know who got them in the house because everybody at the house was dead and the other ones escaped before Michael could reach him. So they didn't know Dinah was involved. So now she's like, I saw this. There's no way that bitch got a show without selling her soul to the devil.
Yeah. And especially that big, that quickly. Right.
Right.
Like if it was a 10 episode run and, you know, Michael was like, hey, I gave you 10 episodes. I feel like even the witches in their underground hole right now and hiding would have been like, oh, dude, she's had 3 episodes air. But it's just kind of like all of a sudden she's on the side of buses and billboards and like she's been hosting forever. Right. But it's really just 10 new episodes of some show.
Right. And at the very end of her rant about Dinah in the shack, we get kind of a foreshadowing to Cordelia's plan. She's like, no, I want her being Dinah safe and sound until we're ready to make her pay. So they're like, don't touch her. You can't burn her now because I got plans for her, which means at some point, what we learn later on, she has to contact Papa Legba again. I don't know how she does it. We don't see it. Dinah's the one that got her in touch with him last time, so I don't know how Cordelia called him this time, but she does. So I don't know. But that's for later on. That's one of the that's one of the left the hanging fruits that was never really told us. We're supposed to just go, okay, sure.
Yeah, that's one of the pieces they left for fan fiction.
True. Let's see. So our next scene, we are back at Outpost 3. It's after the apocalypse. It's Mallory's interview with Langdon where she throws him against the wall and he shows her the demon face and she makes the fire go foof. I don't know what else to say. And we know where we are in the timeline now. We're back to almost where we left off in the quote-unquote present. All right, so after seeing Mallory and Langdon's interaction that we had seen before, we then flash to the shack in the woods, to Misty's, bayou shack, and the three witches, Myrtle, Cordelia, and Madison, all break out of the ground like zombies and had put themselves in some sort of stasis for 2 years during the apocalypse in the mud of the Louisiana Bayou. Like, there was a couple mentions of it. I was like, what the fuck? Like, you didn't even, like, of all the spells you don't show us this one? Are you shitting me?
I guess. What are they going to show you?
I don't know. You're buried alive. Madison's probably never done this before. I'm pretty sure none of them had done it before. Like, at least the discovery of that spell existing, like, oh, hey, we can just go bury ourselves for years and not age and or die and or suffocate and or decay. Like, that's awesome. Like, fucking show me that spell. You showed me all these other bullshit spells. Show me something that's fucking cool.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay. Well, you're just gonna, yeah, I mean, other than like, and I guess they were partially conscious because Madison mentions the fact that she felt worms crawling in her nose and who knows elsewhere, which is like, never going towards that again. I was like, that's great. But yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Like,
I mean, it does answer one of the questions, like, where did they go? And I guess we found out in the Louisiana Bayou mud, like right outside the door of the cabin. Like, that's so original. I don't know. I'm not expecting to shit on it as much as I am, but I actually, now as I'm talking through it, I'm like, that you're not going to, like, because I'm not upset by it. I just want to see it happen. Like, you couldn't give me a 2-minute scene of.
Well, dude, they couldn't fucking even. They didn't even have enough room in this episode to like talk about other important shit that's far more important than that spell. Like, they had to they literally had to fast forward this fucking episode just to finish the goddamn season up.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking stupid show.
I love when we do these. We're doing American Horror Story every year just for this fact. All right, so let's see. So they emerge. We get them walking back to the Hawthorne school. We get all this stuff. Everybody's woken up. We were back to the staircase. Like, Michael at the top, girls at the bottom, Dinah saying, fuck y'all, I'm just here to watch this shit, because she's on his side. And at that point, Michael's like, I'll give you guys a chance. Like, I don't want to kill you. You guys just kneel before me and become my subordinates and we'll be good to go. And they're all, I don't know. I think Myrtle had some sort of snappy quip for him or whatever. But Dinah, of course, is like, I know where I'm going to go. I'm gonna pick the winner. So she goes to, put herself in front of Michael. And this is where, like, I kind of geeked out a little bit because it was out of nowhere. It was out of left field because Cordelia has no way of contacting Papa Legba on her own. Just saying. But Marie Laveau comes out of the corner and she's like, she needs a strong voodoo queen. That ain't you, bitch. Or whatever. And so she goes up and then pulls like a machine.
But I bet you she can talk to Papa Legba now.
Because she already has. Like, she can call him back and say, hey, let's rediscuss this.
Right, like, yeah, I'm not saying, like, I'm saying the seance or whatever it was, like, got the introduction because that's what was needed. I don't think anybody can just go, even though she is a powerful witch, can go, yo, Papa, you want to chat, right? Like, he's got to be summoned by someone who's in his
circle,
right?
Right.
But I think with what's all going on, like, the veils have been thinned and the lines have been crossed, and the fact that she's already talked to him,
mm-hmm.
and then probably came back and said, hey, I can give you a soul that's destined for Lucifer.
Mm-hmm. You'll get that one.
It's the most evil soul right now. You'll get that if you give me Marie Laveau. And apparently Marie Laveau's in Papa Legba's hell half-assing it. So he's like, you got to get the fuck out of here anyhow. Like, you're not even doing a good job.
Right, because we see a flashback. We see a flash to her preparing to torture Borquida's, I think she was torturing her child. Like, her whole Borquida's hell was watching Marie Laveau torture one of her daughters, right? I believe. Or no, wait, torture. Oh, Borquita was the daughter. Delphine was Kathy Bates' character, and she's watching her torture. I was looking back on the Coven story, but yeah. So whatever it is, she doesn't have the guts for torture. Like Marie Laveau's just like, I'm not good at this. Like I have to do it, but I suck at it. So
yeah, like this is like I don't want to hurt people for fun. Like, but if you come fuck with me, I'll kill you. I don't have a problem with that. But I'm not going to just in my waking hours go, how can I hurt you?
Yep. And so Nan enters the torture chamber, and then Cordelia enters after her and tells Marie Laveau that she made Papa Legba an offer he couldn't refuse. And so we find that she promised him Dinah, and Marie Laveau goes to the stairs, kind of climbs the stairs too above Dinah, then turns around and pulls out a machete from fuck who knows where, and hacks her right in the neck and opens her up, and she's, dying, whatever, she's gone. And this is where Miss Mead removes her hand and pulls out her machine gun arm again. And then the Italian or the Latin that Cordelia says is confrigno, which translates into break into pieces, which is exactly what happened. I thought it was like going to be like explode for sure, but it's break into pieces is what it translates to. And so this is the first time like someone took an offensive attack like out of nowhere. It's like, where the fuck was this like the entire season? Yeah,
they were very patient for a whole lot of shit.
But you can literally talk and make somebody explode. Awesome. So Mead explodes. Langdon falls over the railing to the floor. Her head lands next to him, like Mead's head lands next to Langdon, and she's singing Daisy Bell, which if you don't know, it's the song also that Hal sings in 2001: A Space Odyssey when he's being decommissioned and being killed. Mm-hmm. So she's singing the same song, and I was like, oh, that's a nice little call out. I don't know why, but it's cute. That's fine. I recognize what it was. And I like how Madison then grabs like Mead's machine gun arm and like mows down Langdon. Just lets him have it. And so he's shot up against the wall, all looking dead, which we know he's more than likely not, which is the truth. She says she's going to hold him off, and she's like, they have to get Mallory somewhere where she can do her thing. She's starting to finally come to. She recognizes the spell she has to do to go back in time. So and I like Madison has like her redemption moment, like where she's literally sacrificing herself. She's like, I'll hold him off as long as I can. And, Cordelia sees that. She like kisses her and hugs her or whatever, and they take off up the stairs, heading to where, to the bathtub they have to get to. As they're running, Mallory turns a corner or down a hall, and coming out at the end of the hall when she gets there is
Brock.
Right, Brock, and he just stabs her right in the gut. Hey, I should have been on that plane. It's like, what the fuck, dude? Like, get over it. That was years ago, man. Come on. So
yeah, I really thought his Book of Eli shit was going to come back a little cooler. Like, when he first got in, I was like, all right, like, what's up? And then nothing.
Yeah,
and then it's like, why would he stab? I mean,
we know you're pissed.
Like, I know he's at a petty rage at this point, but why? Never mind. I'm not even I don't even know. Like, it doesn't make sense. Yeah. Like, I get it. He is what is it called? The ex machina. Like, he's the fucking divine moment that has to happen for the rest of the episode, because I don't know. He wouldn't have been pissed at his fucking best friend that left him on the goddamn plane, right? Mm-hmm. And then, which is even crazier, because now that you talk about it, she seemed to know him for a while.
Right. Well, so this is why my timeline, I think, is right and yours wasn't quite right, is because we didn't mention it. She meets Brock that first haircut. Remember, he's in the chair next to her. Yeah. So even though that's definitely a little bit of time before she meets Mr. Gallant, at the same day she meets Brock, and then they've been dating for a long time, or at least dating long enough for two people who are shells of individuals who aren't really, so I mean, at least a few months.
It's got to be months, a couple. I mean, 3 at least.
Which is why Cordelia was kind of waiting, but I wish they would. Of all the time frames you tell me, you didn't tell me these ones, which doesn't help me out very much. Which I'm not sure they knew what the timeline was.
Yeah.
So, another time, and then so Mallory gets stabbed. He's all happy with himself. Myrtle like screams in rage, and another offensive witch spell, and she casts Ignis, which of course translates to fire, and he lights on fire and falls down the only stairwell that doesn't have guardrails. So he just falls down this thing, and where he falls is right behind where Madison's watching Langdon's body, and she turns, and as she turns away, you see all his blood start pooling back into him, and he kind of
that was cool.
Pretty cool. And so as she's turned, she realizes she took her eyes off Langdon, and he's already stood up, and she goes,
I guess it's back to retail.
And he pops her head, which is exactly what he did. Like, it was just no head, just body falls. So she's back to her own hell, back to retail.
Yeah, I really thought he was going to bleep her out.
Oh, like kill her soul? Yeah.
Like, I thought that's what he was going to do with every person he may kill.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yes, blowing their head up is cool looking, but you've kind of already mentioned that the dude can just make people never again.
Right.
And this is what supposed to be hell on earth. So why isn't this motherfucker bleeping people out? Like, that is your absolute power. Like, especially for Madison, right? Mm-hmm. Because she's the one that brought it up. She's the one that got pulled out by him in hell. Like, she's the one that's been giving him shit. She's the one that turned, like, of all the people to get bleeped out,
and
she should have had a much harder core, like, phasing out,
right?
Or something.
And it would make her sacrifice that much bigger. Because
yes.
I've said I'll die again, but he would, if he had like put her in stasis and said, you're not just sacrificing, like, I'm going to delete you, that would have made the impact. You could have had her like a single tear. Like, I don't know. I'm not a director, but I'm just saying, like, you could have had like the realization that, yeah, because she knows I can just go to hell and get pulled back out later on, which is literally what they fucking say at the end of the show. Like, well, I'll just go back and get her later. Like, so it doesn't make her sacrifices meaningful with that kind of character. For her knowing that she was getting bleeped out, you could have had her just for a hot second, just break down, like, or just be like, fine, like, I did it for my girls, and then have him bleep her out. That'd have been fucking awesome. That's not what they did. And so later on, because they still could have had her be okay at the end, because when she changed time, like, everybody who got bleeped out, like Zoe and Queenie, they were all back too. So like, when she went back in time, the souls that he had originally erased were back anyways. So we could have still got Madison. We wouldn't have lost her for real, but that moment could have been so much more powerful.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of feel like there's like a boot up delay to souls. Like, so he didn't have time to like wait for, because when he killed those two folks in the house, like, it took like 30 seconds for like their souls to be like, oh shit, I'm in the house still. Like, he didn't have that kind of time, because he has to stop this, time travel thing is happening. So maybe he just didn't want to wait on it. He had to run upstairs, which he also ran upstairs as opposed to just like apparating through the house he's lived in and knows.
That's what I'm saying, man. Like, look, dude, if religion is real and the son of the devil comes to start the fucking apocalypse, if you think that dude is not going to bleep someone out of existence after sucking up his own blood back into his body and be the most evil thing, like, especially since they made fun of the whole like Omen 3 thing of like trying to be president and take over the world. Like, so I'm not even talking about like we've had a sleeper cell antichrist like growing up with us and then ends up becoming world leader of some, bullshit and takes over like that. I'm talking like Michael. Motherfucker got fast forwarded overnight and grew. Like, you're telling me he's not just, and like once he does the whole thing and fucking Satan preaches behind him and he's like, I'm with you, Father. You're telling me at that point that dude's just not like fucking green light go, let's kill everything. Like, and the fact that he's not using every one of his powers at that point in time to like max abilities. It's one thing to be like conceited, but even the best villains that are like super conceited never not go max. Like, they may start out thinking, oh, like, I'm just going to fuck this guy up. But then once they kind of get checked, it's like instant rage takes over. And like, the dude just got shot. So he should have woke up like, okay, I'm going to kill all of these bitches, pissed, and just like, yes, ripping people's hearts out and fucking blowing heads up and shit. That's violent, but he wasn't at that like next level evil.
Right. You never saw him like Hulk out.
or to, like he never really did something kind of truly fucked up in front of the other witches or whatever. It was just always like, oh, he's gonna be bad. Oh, he's gonna, like, I mean, he's bad, but no, obviously they weren't too fucking concerned. They're like, let's just go back in time and hit him with the car because he can't fucking protect himself.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Fucking stupid ass show.
Yep. So he chases, as opposed to just appearing, he chases them up the hall. He's stopped by Marie Laveau. She puts on some voodoo fucking like barrier spell that works for literally you literally you went back and talked to Papa Legba again. You sacrificed Dinah, who wasn't going to be on your team anyways, all for a spell that doesn't work. That Marie Laveau does nothing. Does nothing.
Yeah.
At all. She doesn't do anything. She stops him for one motion, and then he just reaches through and digs her heart out.
Yep.
And sadly, Coco stabs him in the back in the middle of this process, and after he takes a bite out of Marie Laveau's heart, like he snaps Coco's neck, which killed my hypothesis of like Coco being like the one who would like have she would just nudge it over the edge and like make the girls win. Like that's what I was hoping for like the last half of the season, and it just did, and he just snapped her neck. Which, another thing, like you have a effects department, and you just had the actress turn her head fast and fall over. I'm like, you guys could have like spun her head around, something. Like she just went meh, like and just fell over. I was like, come on, like she deserves like a badass death. And give her something. I got to pop her head like you did Madison, but give me something other than just like, hey, just turn your head real quick and fall over on this pad. All right, action. Like,
well, I mean, they probably would have done something better if there wasn't a guy standing on the set with a fucking stopwatch going, we have 25 seconds for every fucking scene. Get your shit together.
Right. So then Cordelia's like blowing into Mallory while she's blowing at Mallory while she's like dying on the floor. And I'm not sure if she's trying to do the spell that gives her all her powers, like the sacred taking or whatever they called it a few episodes ago. But whatever it's doing, it's not working. Mallory is fading fast. They get her into the bath. And, this is kind of a powerful scene. The girl, Cordelia is like trying to get her like, hey, just say the words, get the bath cranked up and everything. And it's just not working. Mallory's apology, I think she says, I'm sorry, I'm not strong enough or something to Cordelia, which moves her into motion. So she's like, she tells Myrtle, I love you, which is kind of awesome. Like Cordelia tells Myrtle, I love you. And then she goes out in the hallway, and that's when she confronts Michael. And she's standing on the same ledge I could have sworn that Brock was on, but he's not down there. So it must be another stairwell with no railings. And Michael has the knife he pulled out of his back. He's at the other end of the hall. And he's like, oh, I'm going to fucking kill you. And she's like, no, you won't. She snatches the knife from him. And he basically says, like, I'm going to kill you. And she's like, you may, but you won't have the satisfaction. Right. And then she says,
because he talks about how he's going to.
Right. And then she gets, I would probably say, the best line of the episode. And it's,
Satan has one son, but my sisters are legion, motherfucker.
And then she stabs herself in the chest.
Yeah, that line's just fucking utter trash.
That line's awesome.
No, dude, Myrtle's hairline is fucking awesome. That line, I'm Legion, mother. Fuck off, man. I'm Legion.
No,
really?
My sisters are Legion.
Yeah, that's stupid.
That's not stupid.
That is so fucking dumb.
That's like
dude.
literally calling back to like how demons talk anyways, because demons never say me, they say we, and we are Legion is like every demon thing that, Don't you know about that?
Yeah, I know about it. That's why it's dumb as shit for her to fucking say it. Like, I am Legion. Oh, so you're now more satanic than the satanic guy? Like, is that what you're trying to say? Oh, we are. Fuck that, dude. That is somebody in there who watched an Exorcist movie somewhere and had a person black-eyed that was looking at them going, I am Legion. We are the seven that sinned. And they're like, dude, I fucking like that. You know what? You need to say that. Here's a cheesy line for a fucking stupid episode.
Oh man, it
bothers me that you like that. It bothers me that you like that line. like it would be different if you were excited and talking about it, but the fact that you went with it was the best line in this episode.
I find it hard to find fault with Miss Paulson. I can't help it. I like the line.
No, that's
Maybe I like the delivery. Is that better?
I could go with that. Like if she wouldn't have said, motherfucker just because they're like, hey, we're on FXX or whatever. We'll cuss after the 10 o'clock hour. Like, here's our one off. Like, if she would have just left it as like, we are Legion, that sounds better. That sounds more authentic. That sounds more intimidating. But when you, that's
she
like,
says, my sisters are Legion, meaning you can never kill all the witches.
And then, yes, and then follows it up with the dumb motherfucker. Like you didn't need to put motherfucker in
okay,
that.
I'll give you that.
Like that, it turned it into a kid cussing. That's what it turned it into.
Right.
It turned it into a kid saying some shit, then going, fuck your mom.
Right.
Like that. Oh, okay. All right.
Okay, I'll give you that. What's really sad is that I will have taken time to cut that from the show and paste it in where I said the line. So we will all have heard her say it, and now we've talked shit about it for 5 minutes.
That's fine. I don't even care.
All right, so
I love you, Stella.
She's
fantastic actress.
Delivery. We'll go with delivery.
That was a bad line.
Like, don't use MFer if you don't, just because it's past 10 o'clock hour. Let your words stand for themselves. Don't have to emphasize it with cursing.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Like, now that I'm thinking about the scene, like, I like the delivery and I like the call out. I could have gone without the word Legion because to me, if you're going to do Legion like that, like, it's just got to be dark.
Mm-hmm.
Like and then throw in the motherfucker in there. Like,
it sullies it.
Yeah, it almost, it makes it cheesy.
Right.
Like, if motherfucker would have been like, hey, motherfucker, we are Legion, like my sisters are Legion, different. Mm-hmm. All right, you're calling that guy motherfucker, and then you're telling him the shit. Got it. But when you're just like, blah, 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 bitch. Like,
well, okay, so as she stabs herself and she's dying, Myrtle screams. Mallory, wakes up because, of course, she's becoming the Supreme now, and she's going to have the power to go back in time. The bubbles crank up in the sauna, or in the tub, and she's ready to rock and roll. And Cordelia steps off the ledge to fall to her death, as well as already bleeding out in front of everybody. So, and Mallory ducks underwater, so you kind of get this shot of Mallory underwater and then Cordelia laying there. So that happens, and then kind of what I had said last time. I was like, so are we back at Murder House? Is because we had Jessica Lange on set, are we going to be using her? And we absolutely did for the final scene. So when did Mallory go back to? She went back to right after he killed the priest.
Yep.
And we see the whole interaction between Constance and Michael, where this is literally the time where she, at some point during his childhood, she kicked him out of the house, where he had nobody, he had no support, he wasn't in the house. Because we didn't even bring that up last week, but you don't want to let the son of Satan die in the house, because then you just have his soul always there. So he literally grabs his jeans jacket and no shoes and walks out of the house to then get run over by a car 3 times.
Yeah, I literally threw the fucking remote. I was watching it on my computer. I got up, walked over to my fucking table behind me where my Roku remote was, and I threw it at my couch. I was so disappointed with how Michael died. I fucking paused it. I cussed at my couch. I threw the remote at my couch. My couch got a bunch of shit because of the way Michael fucking died in this episode.
How would you... Okay, is this death what tipped it for you, or was the whole episode that bad? If he had died in some awesomely, supreme magical ripping of limbs and shit, if that had happened, would you have a different entire opinion about the episode? Is this what killed it for you? Because I'm with you.
I mean, this is I think the episode was kind of already dead for me, just kind of how I saw where it was going a little bit. And so this was kind of kicking in me while I was down. This was the nail in the coffin. I was already in the fucking grave, but you guys were all right, here, just to make sure you're not, and honestly, Michael didn't need to go out in some crazy magical fight or something.
Really?
But
I mean, especially when you're going back in time, there wasn't going to be a boss fight because he's not powerful yet.
But Mallory's character needed to have a little more to it than I know her one main objective is, because everybody's dead, is just to kill Michael. Just be done with it and kill him and fucking go back in time or pick up in time, right? But there was no conflict or like, I'm going to look you in the eyes. Like, this was the most invasive murder ever. And the fact that it was a woman driving the car in this episode, and they threw in like every fucking story you've heard about any woman ever driving over someone.
Back up and do it again.
Then she threw it in reverse and backed up over his ass again. Cheating husband or whatever, right? Like,
right.
This was just like
all the. I'll
all
tell
you
what,
writers are angry at your boyfriend at one fucking time. Is like that what this is?
all your steps towards like women empowerment, and then you use like the most standard story of a woman upset at a man when she kills him in history. You're right. You hear that all the time, and like, so that's where you went. Like, you didn't have a more empowering. Because we know that you guys are all about women empowerment, which I'm not fighting that. I'm not like saying like, fuck women empowerment. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you do all this every
do better. Better.
You do all this every season about, you know, men are scum and women are awesome, because we've been told that men have been told we're awesome forever, and now it's time for y'all to be told. So why would this be what you used? Like, you don't have a better empowering thing. She needs a car. She can't just walk up to him and do what she's got to do because it had to be done. It's got to be done. I walk up to him.
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. Like, the fact that it had to be done. Like, she couldn't have just walked up to him when he came out and then fucking said some Latin and to kill him real quick while he wasn't expecting. Or even at the very least, we know bullets will fuck with everybody in this reality.
Mm-hmm.
Walk up behind him, put a gun to his head, and fucking shoot him. Because that, it's like a personal, but with this whole hitting him with the car thing, and then like giving Constance the look like, we good? And Constance like, oh yeah, he's
fucking
evil. Like I'm
Spice Girl,
I'm
girl
cool.
power shit. Yeah.
Yeah. And like the worst part is like Constance's character and this whole thing has been, I'm a mother. And yeah, she threw Michael out. But the way they've built Constance's character from Murder House till now, if she saw Michael get hit, I don't care how bad she knows he is, she would have still broke down
and drug him back
she
in the
would have
house.
cried. She would have something like, yeah, she would have made an effort to save Michael, no matter how bad he is. Like, in this, just of them making eye contact, like, hey, you know, he was fucked up, right? Yeah, you took care of him. And then her just like, okay, there's a dead kid on the street. I'm going to go about my business.
You know, and on top of that, in the regular civilian non-witch, the Muggle world, you used a object to kill another person. You don't think that like that I would much rather have seen her use the neck snap that he used on the guard, or the head pop he used earlier on Madison, something that is magical because it doesn't leave a fucking trace. There's not bits of Michael stuck in your grill like we know there is in the vehicle that you're going to now burn somewhere, and hopefully they never figure out who you are.
Yeah, I mean, granted, you go, it's Mallory. She can probably just fucking snap her fingers and that car will just disappear.
So
like, no big
why
deal.
would have a car?
But again, you're right. Like, why have a car if you can do that? Or like, why even write a story so someone like you and I even have to like guesstimate what they were doing after the hit and run? Like, did you go to the Grand Theft Auto fucking paint shop real quick and get your fucking police rating dropped on you?
Well, what it really was, it was all so he wasn't all the way dead right away. It was pretty much all so Constance could say "go to hell" as like it's almost a throwaway line as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you go to hell. It's like, that's even worse than "We Are Legion."
Yeah,
it's like, oh, of course you're gonna say that, and you just like drop him and walk away, and he dies. Okay, and so also on our time travel thing for our next episode, our next chunk of episodes. So this time travel, Mallory traveled back, and then that's it. Like, she stays in that time and then works her way through everybody. It's not like she went back to 2020 or whenever after the apocalypse time frame. Like, she just went back to 2015 or whatever it was and just stayed there, and that's it. She just lives out, because the next thing she does is like, you see her first day at the Robichaud Academy, but she's already done all her stuff. In fact, she could have driven with the Michael parts in her car to the Robichaud Academy to have her first day.
Pretty much, yeah.
And she did, and we see that everything is okay-ish. You know, everybody's Cordelia, everybody's alive. We see Zoe, we see Queenie. We do see that because the apocalypse never happened, Cordelia never brought Myrtle back from the dead. So Myrtle's not there.
Yep. She's still deceased.
We see that they literally erase the entire season of Hotel in one statement, like in one conversation. Like she stops.
Yeah, don't go to there.
I haven't seen the season of Hotel, and now it doesn't exist anymore, so don't even need to watch it now. So doesn't it?
Well, you should, because it's fucking good.
Yeah, I know. I need to watch it. But so Hotel is now cranked out. But also, what I was reading online is that this also means that Tate and Violet are never reunited in the murder house. Moira is still trapped in Murder House and not with her mother. And Constance Langdon doesn't kill herself in the house either. So she's also would probably die there later, I guess. So all the stuff that happened in the awesome 9.6 rated episode of Murder House never happened. That episode never happened either.
Mm-hmm.
So all that cool shit we were like, oh, that's so great, is like, nah, never happened. So it's like, wow, way to just undo a bunch of seasons. You've undone a whole shit ton of your show. I don't know. It's just, okay. So all that shit's happened. Nan appears in Cordelia's room out of a doorway of white, and Misty is brought to them, I guess, as part of, what does she say? Nan says Mallory says because she killed the spawn of Satan, she's got blazing street cred, which is how she got Misty brought back from the dead, which is like, well, then why don't you bring back Myrtle too? But Myrtle didn't want to be brought back, so I don't know.
Yeah, well, Myrtle told Cordelia, don't bring me back in any circumstances.
Was uber pissed when she would.
Basically, yeah, and basically now by her knocking off the son of Satan and
for now
dealing a blow to Lucifer, all the demons want to do her favors.
Yes, correct. But then Nan in her lovely self is like, nah, I'm chill. Like, I love hanging with Papa Legba. He's great. He lets me play.
Yeah.
She's all about that hell. She's like, I love this. So good for her. I do like that Cordelia's like, I don't understand. And Nan looks over her shoulder at Mallory and says, you're not supposed to just say thank you to Mallory. So it's like, oh, okay. And then you get Cordelia like looking at Mallory and back and forth. And it's like, okay. And then we finally, and then we get another time skip for you to 2020. And your favorite scene of the whole show, your favorite 5 minutes of the whole show is we get to see Tim and Emily meet again. You're like, I'm not even going to talk during this part.
Like, no, it was cool, man. Like,
no, it's not. Because we didn't need this. You couldn't just give us the ending we needed. Now it's like, are you just going to tell me the whole, are we just going to fast forward everything we just saw by 5 years or whatever? Well,
I mean, she makes that statement of like, that doesn't mean, like, whatever she said, like, evil is never going to stop trying or whatever. So basically we get to see that, hey, here's the fucking second son of Satan.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
we see a 3-year-old, what's his name? Devin. Devin is the new son of Satan, born to Tim and Emily, and he kills the sitter when he's 3. And then you get the Black Pope and the Cardinals arriving again. So we're just right back where we were just 5 years in the future or whatever. So, meh. I didn't need that final scene either. But the season's over. We don't have to think about it anymore.
Yeah. I don't need. It's whatever.
I just love how you've like sunk down in your chair as we're talking. You're just like, I cannot believe we did this again. It was not nearly as bad as Cult. It was still an okay season.
No, like, but at least with Cult, like, it was just shit the whole way. Like, you just were like, all right, I know it. Like, this was, hey man, we did something really cool, really good, and then we just ran out of fucking time. Mm-hmm. And it is clear as day in these episodes.
Yeah.
And especially when you look back at the last episode and then you look at the 3 previous episodes and you go, didn't even need 2 of those. You didn't do anything in 50 minutes.
Very true.
Fuck the show.
But we hope that everybody who listened to this American Horror Story series enjoyed it as much as we did doing it. We love doing this podcast. We love the shows we pick, even though we hate them sometimes. And we thank everybody here for listening as well. Don't forget to head over to the Twitter account at 2dadsreview. Vote in the poll for which movie you want to see first for us to review. We're not going to not do the other one. We're just not going to do it first. And we hope you guys tune in for the time travel series we're going to do. And then, of course, come back in January for the Star Trek Discovery. We got a lot planned for 2019. Star Trek Discovery. Game of Thrones final season, season 2 of American Gods, hopefully. I hope that doesn't come out exactly the same time as Game of Thrones. I pray it doesn't. But yeah, we got a lot lined up for 2019. So hang in there. If you're listening to this right away, hope you had a good Thanksgiving or are having a good Thanksgiving or will have a good Thanksgiving. It all depends on when I get this edited. And we will catch you guys next week for our first episode of the time travel movie review series. Catch you guys then.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening to me complain about this episode.
He's the grumpy one.
Today, right? Of all, like, yes. This show, God, I'm always so positive, and this show just brings me down to a bad level.
We can't go wrong next week. It's either The Time Machine's cool H.G. Wells old school movie or Jean-Claude Van Damme in his heyday. You can't be mad next week. It's going to be great.
I want to say you're right, but I'm not going to lie, man. If The Time Machine doesn't win... Like, I'm already going to start off on a bad foot with Time Cop because I want to watch Time Machine so bad now.
Oh, man. All right. Get over there. Vote for Time Machine.
The fact that I left it to the internet just makes me bitter that I put it out there because I could have just, like, waited a week and a half and been like, hey, you want to watch Time Machine? And could have just made it happen. Like, didn't even need to throw it up for a chance.
Yeah, true. All right. Catch you guys next week.
See you guys.